Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So yesterday I actually was playing on the YouTubes and I watched a video that Mike the cop put out. Don't tell Officer Daniels. Anyway, he was touching on an incident that happened back in September of 2018 in front of an IHOP where a couple of Texas officers encountered an elderly male there, had a little confrontation with him. The one officer baited him into slapping him and then so on and so forth. So Mike touched on a portion of this that had to do more with race because the officers were African American and the older man was white. Now, if you're interested in that portion, go watch this video. I'll put a link for it here in my description. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because, like we do here on this channel, one of the things I've always tried to show you guys is the transparency for law enforcement. And on one hand, I don't like to or want to Monday morning quarterback other officers. However, there's just certain things when you see them or watch them, it's so far out of the realm that I just feel they deserve to be called out for their actions. And in this video, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So if you have not seen this video, I'm going to roll that right now, watch the video, and we'll talk about it as soon as it's done.
Slap the shit out of me and get it off your chest. No, I'm giving you permission to slap the shit out of me, get it off your chest, and see what happens. Come on. Damn. Turn around. Turn fucking around. That was stupid.
All right, so what did you think? Pretty screwed up, right? So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna play this through, I'll stop it a few times and break it down a little bit just on my point of view of the things I see. And I feel like for most everybody out there, this should be pretty straightforward and obvious of everything that's wrong with this video, but for why not, let's go ahead and just talk about it real quick. All right, so here in the beginning, you can't really hear what they're saying. You hear him say, you want to do something, slap the shit out of me, get it off your chest. Says it again, get it off your chest. The other guy's like, he's telling you to do it. Says it again. No guy, you see him, he's just like, he even looks at the camera and he's like, I don't know. You know, like, are you screwing with me type of thing? The officer flat out, no, I am giving you permission, do it. Get it off your chest. Little old man just reaches up, I mean barely, like not even a swinging motion, like reaches up and almost touches the guy's face, and you see the officer go ahead and give him a decent slap right back in the face. Old guy hits the ground, and then they go ahead and arrest him. And what my assumption would be from this is they're going to try and say battery on a law enforcement officer. Now here in my state, battery on a law enforcement officer is a felony. Pretty serious crime. You're gonna go to jail for it. No questions asked. Now, in this particular situation, I personally don't even believe you have the statutory requirements of battery on a law enforcement officer, and here's why. For those of you who are not familiar with battery, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna read the basic statute for you. Now, again, this is Florida. This video is in Texas, but most states, they are gonna mirror it so closely that we're gonna be talking about the same encompassing charge. All right, so here we go. Chapter 784, subsection 3, battery, semicolon felony battery, which is going to be an additional set of circumstances on top of battery. So it starts out with what just the battery charge is. So the offense of battery occurs when a person actually and intentionally touches or strikes another person against the will of the other, or intentionally causes bodily harm to another person, except as provided in subsection 2, which is going to have to do with like enhanced things. A person who commits a battery commits a misdemeanor of the first degree. Now, in this case, battery on a law enforcement officer would be a felony. That would be one of those other subsections. The one thing I want to point out right here about this statute is intentionally touches or strikes another person against the will of the other. That is the key factor of the battery statute. It's against the will. So we have a thing here called mutual combat. So if I go to the bar and I get into it with some dude and I'm like, you want to go, bro? And he's like, let's go, bro. And you go out and you fight and it's a mutual combat and we are intentionally touching or striking each other, but it's not against our will. We did it agreeingly. So you no longer have the charge of battery. Now, in a case like that, you can go with disturbance, affray, various things like that if need be. But for the most part, neither one of those people involved in that fight are going to be the victim of a battery charge because they were willing participants. So in this video, in my opinion, take away the uniform, take away the badge, who cares? You are a grown man making a decision, telling this guy. In fact, it makes it even worse the fact that you're in uniform, in a badge, you're an authoritative figure. Somebody should be able to trust what you say and your words. So if you're telling this guy for whatever reason, go ahead, get it off your chest and slap me, and you're giving him permission, it's no longer against your will. You no longer have the crime of battery. That's probably one of the biggest things that bothers me about this video is I'm all for thinking outside of the box. I have done things on calls where, again, you wouldn't normally think to do that, but sometimes that's what you need to solve that problem. So in a case like this, I won't even sit here and tell you I'm 100% against what the officer said or his intentions originally, but they weren't pure intentions is the problem. If he had seen this older man and whatever the issue was, and obviously if you look at the stature between the two of them, the officer's twice the guy's size, if he thought for some reason, again, thinking outside of the box, that, you know what, this little old man has something he needs to get off his chest, I'll take a slap in the face for him if it's going to make him feel better, and he wanted to do that, and that was going to solve that problem or help mend what was going on, then you know what? Go ahead. That's on you. You've chosen to do that. I don't even have a problem with that, really. My issue, and I'm sure with all of you, would be the fact that he over and over told this guy, go ahead, do it. I give you my word, no problem. And then immediately, well, one, he slaps a guy. So obviously you can't do that. Now he's committed battery upon that guy. But let's even take that portion out for a second. You have just completely tarnished your name and reputation as an officer. So I look at this as, again, take away whatever punishment is going to happen to this officer, which according to the article, he was indicted for this, which, hey, that's what happens. You do something stupid like that, and that's what you get. But let's, for 1 second, take that out. As far as I'm concerned, that officer's career is over regardless. Let's say he got a slap on the wrist, he got in some trouble at work or whatever. With that being out there and being on video, if I'm a defense attorney, do you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get a copy of that video. I'm gonna save it on a thumb drive. In any case that that officer ever makes for the rest of his career from that point forward, if anything that goes to trial or anything that goes to a motion, I'm gonna bring that thumb drive and I'm gonna play that video for the court or for jurors, and essentially right there, black and white, tarnish his name to say he is an untrustworthy officer. You cannot trust his word. He maliciously lied to this person. And that there is gonna create enough doubt in a jury's mind that they will never ever be able to prosecute a successful case if he was the arresting or investigating officer. He completely destroyed his credibility for the rest of his career. So again, that's how I look at something aside from the actual punishment portion, which definitely needs to be handled and obviously is being handled, and I applaud them for that, because these kinds of things cannot get swept under the rug. I mean, we live in a time now where, you know, like I've mentioned, one of the reasons I do these videos is to try and come up with the transparency, because look, you do have bad officers out there. You do. There's tens of thousands of officers out there. You're going to have a few bad apples, but you're going to have bad apples in the medical field, in lawyers, in judges, and whatever. It doesn't matter. They're out there. But we are under a magnifying glass. We are being watched for things like this. So you already have the people who don't like us and already have it in their mind that this is all we do every day. And then they see a video like this, and all it does is completely support their opinion of us. And one act like that counteracts 100 good acts that other officers do. So that's why I don't have a particular problem talking about the situation. I am not trying to just utterly bash him, but as far as a police officer is concerned, his behavior and what he did and the fact of flat out lying to that guy and baiting him into that is absolutely just, it's disgusting to me. I would never do something like that. One of the rules I've had, and I've seen other officers do this, is while interviewing somebody, look, we can use some deception and different things like that, but an outright bold-faced lie, especially the one where officers say, I'll tell you what, if you just tell me what happened, be honest with me, I promise I won't arrest you. The person confesses, they get the information they need, and they go, ha, I got you, turn around, put your hands behind your back. That I have seen happen, and I absolutely cannot stand for that. Are you allowed to do it? Yes, technically you can. I think it's so shitty, basically, that I refuse to do something like that. If I am not a good enough investigating officer that I can't get the information on my own, that I have to bait that person into telling me the truth under a false pretense of I'm not going to arrest you, then I'm not going to arrest them. I'm not saying I won't write that report and forward the charges off and do what I need to do as far as the investigation goes, but I am not going to essentially backstab somebody like that. The fact that I wasn't good enough at my job to interview or whatnot to get the information I need. So that's just my take on it. Not everybody's going to agree with that, and I don't expect them to, but with having that mindset is why I have such a problem with this video and the behavior that went on it, and why I chose to talk about it. I don't normally do these things, so but I'd like to hear what you guys think. I mean, in a case like this, I'm going to assume 99% of the people are going to agree with me or agree with the basic concept of what I'm saying. You're always going to have some, person out there that's back the blue to the end of the day, and they're not going to care, and they're going to think it's shitty that I would, basically talk negatively about other officers. But you tell me, leave it in the comments below. Tell me what you think about this situation, and tell me what you think about my viewpoint on it. All right, guys, I know this was a different video than normal, but I saw it. It's fresh. I wanted to get out and kind of put it out there before it became completely irrelevant. So for what it's worth, I hope you learned something from it. I hope you appreciate the fact that there are some officers like me out there, and there are plenty others. I know them. I work with them that aren't afraid to speak on a topic like this and say that this is absolutely not acceptable, and we won't stand for it. So, all right, guys, if you did enjoy this, hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got some other stuff I'm working on right now. I know I keep saying that, but I truly am. I've got several videos I'm in the process of filming, halfway through each thing. I'll put it together, and we'll have some stuff coming out for you soon. So until I see you in the next one, take really good care of yourselves and stay safe out there.